So there's a lot of students out there today that are, have big hopes. They look and they see all these incredible companies that were started by kids their age, 20 years ago. Steve Jobs, great example. What is your advice to them as they're getting ready to enter into the world of technology? What should they be focused on, and what do you think are some keys to them being successful?
So I think that the most important thing is to go and work for a company that really looks like it knows what it's doing, where you can be coached, taught, mentored, and have an opportunity to grow. Look, if they're really good coming out of college and they've got a great idea and they want to go do it, then go do it. And my guess is that if you wanted to come to Silicon Valley and you had a great idea, you could troll up and down Stand Hill Road and get somebody to invest in you. But if you're not a brilliant, let's say, creative kind of person, and you're a good engineer or you're a good marketing person, then just go and work for a company where you can learn. I'm not a technical person. I'm never going to create the next Facebook or anything like that. But yet, there's so many things that I can do for a company, back in my younger days, where I could really help, and that's what they can do.
That's great. That's great advice. Let's talk about CEOs right now in technology. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you think CEOs can potentially make that affects the future of their company?
So I think that what I see most often happen with CEOs is they don't believe that they're managers. And what you've got to do is you've got to manage your group. You've got to make sure that if you have 6, 7, 8, 10 people reporting to you, that you know exactly what they're doing. You need to look at them, look them in the eye, tell them what they're doing well, and tell them what they're not doing well. And then try to bring the whole team together so that you have, a common focus, common timing, everything that would allow a product to come out, roughly at the same time. But, the problem that you have is that a lot of people, a lot of the young CEOs today, they're more interested in looking at what the great product looks like, and they're not sure how they ought to manage everything else. You need to know the modicum of management. I say this all the time. I had a wonderful human resources person that worked for me years ago, and she used to say, your title makes you manager. Your people make you a leader. You never claim leadership. You got to be a manager. And that means that you can learn these things, how to run a staff meeting, how to do a one-on-one, how to give people course correction and tell them they're doing well or not doing well. The number one problem that young CEOs have is they're not doing enough of that. So.
That's great. That's great advice. And it's not something you necessarily know how to do innately. I mean, some people are innately good managers. It just comes natural, but many aren't.
It's a learned skill. You can learn this. This is not rocket science. It's not invention. It is something that people have done. And it's if you work at it and you learn from somebody, it's common sense.
Today, one of the things that really hit me is when you talked about Steve's just kind of...
maniacal focus.
Yes, on doing what he did well and being able to kind of have those blinders on. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, why it's important?
So, what Steve does is, what he did do in his lifetime is look at great ideas and try to make them come to life. Sometimes the ideas were his, sometimes they were other people's. It didn't matter. And he was always wonderful at passing out the credit to people that really did great jobs at inventing stuff. But I think the thing that he had that he was absolutely nuts about, when he would see that there was an opportunity for a phone to make a big difference. Imagine Apple that had never done anything like that before. The iPod was a stretch as well. I mean, but at least it stayed in a category that was reasonably well known. The phone was completely new. And he paid attention to every swipe, every page turn, every icon, every application that was on that. And it's that fanatical devotion to excellence and detail that made him different.
Excellent. You talked today about product and how a lot of times, CEOs or others aren't focused enough on making a great product. They get focused on the wrong things. Can you just talk a little bit about that product focus?
So what happens today, and I used Intuit as an example, the CEO at Intuit cares deeply about the product offerings. Does he care about making his quarter? Yes. Does he care about customer satisfaction? Yes. But you know what? If he's not in touch with engineers and not in touch with the products that are coming out the door, the things that they're creating, and what areas of focus they should be on, mobile, social, local, whatever. Those are the kinds of things that make CEOs great. I can find 1,000 guys that can go know how to get their earnings. You know, they're never going to get earnings unless they have a great product. But you know, I'm not interested in somebody doing a spreadsheet. I want them to love the products.
Great. Okay, last question, because I know people want to meet you. What is your challenge to Massachusetts? As a West Coast, you know, you're a West Coast guy now, right? What's your challenge to us?
My challenge here is that too many of your good people are going out there in order to get their company started. So my challenge is basically the venture capitalists. Why are these people leaving here? Are they leaving here because their ideas can be nurtured better out there? No. They're leaving here because you're not investing in them. You're not providing the infrastructure for them to coach them, make them better. And when we have that here, then these people that are out in Silicon Valley will be here at 128. They're not going to be in Silicon Valley. And that should be our aspirational goal.